truck drivers are said to be good lovers of social interactions, especially with the opposite gender, something that increases risk of the spread of the pandemic.
The drivers are not the one who's disturbing the women. It is the women, it is vice versa. Whenever a trucker parks, these women start coming.
However, following the increase in the number of imported cases of COVID-19, the president had earlier on directed all cargo trucks not to have more than 3 passengers, contrary to halting movement of cargo.
Said the lorries should have 3 people. But some people who are in the transport business are saying that 3 people are not necessary, that they are actually a danger.
Some drivers, when they heard of the announcement from the president that we are allowed to carry 3 people, some people thought that we must carry 3 people on board, because the people they have been carrying were passengers.
Nonetheless, the guidelines were disobeyed by some cargo truck drivers, later breeding provisions for halting of cargo truck movement.
Cargo flow is important because trade has to go on.
The president, during his subsequent address on Tuesday, rejected the move to stop cargo movement, but emphasized the mobile quarantine and 1 driver on board.
Cargo within the country and cargo between us and the neighbors had to continue. It's part of the planned survival core system. Now, to interfere with cargo is suicidal.
On having cargo trucks driven in and handed over to the next driver, Byron Chinene says this is associated with the costs and high risks, especially to companies.
But now with these trucks, something is different because the technology is unique, more especially on the gearbox and whatever on the diff. So to operate it, you need a technical people to train you.
Gazette areas have been identified where trucks can have stopovers for rest, though with pending accompanying facilities.
The Minister of Works has talked about some issues, like some places like Nambole. But in those places, we need some facilities to be put there.
Coming to Kampala, there's no stopover. They will have to drive straight up to Nambole, where we have gazetted the place. Before they go to offload whatever goods they have come with, they will be stationed. If you are going up north, up to Elegu, the border with South Sudan, there are going to be 3 stopover points. From Malaba, the first stopover will be in Soroti. From Soroti, the next stopover will be in Kamdin. From Kamdin, the next stopover will be at the exit.
Apparently, Uganda's COVID-19 cases stand at 79 with 52 recoveries. Susan Naong and Gloria Guitabinji reporting for UBC TV.
Thanks, Susan and Gloria, for that report there. Now, President Yoweri Museveni recently signed the Sugar Act 2020 into law. Now, this as Uganda makes its final deliberations in trading off its surplus sugar to Tanzania, with the first consignment of 20,000 metric tons being agreed upon at the prevailing market rates. Now, the President assented to the bill on the 24th of April 2020, as we hear in this report.
The sugar industry of Uganda will export 20,000 metric tons of brown sugar to Tanzania by the end of May 2020. It will be the first consignment to open up market opportunities for Ugandan millers with surplus production. Yesterday, the president met the representatives from Tanzania, led by the managing director of Kagera Sugar Limited, Seif Ali Seif. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Honorable Ameri Chambade. In the meeting, President Museveni thanked his counterpart, President John Pombe Magufuli, for collaborating with Uganda's sugar industry. He reiterated that this was the essence because it would help strengthen the East African community. President Museveni noted that Ugandans have embraced commercial agriculture, that the country was able to have surplus. Minister Chambade said that this is a relief for Ugandan millers who have been trying to penetrate the Tanzanian market. Port Bell to Mwanza will be the transportation route. She said the subsequent exports will be made in due course. Uganda has a good sugar market with a surplus of 48,000 metric tons, which will help Tanzania with its current sugar shortage. Uganda sugar industry comprises 11 functional sugar mills producing 510 metric tons with a consumption of 360,000 metric tons per annum. Surplus is 150,000 metric tons and sufficient for export.
Now, government through the Trade and Transport National Task Force Subcommittee on COVID-19 has issued 17 strict guidelines to be followed by truck drivers along the cargo transit routes. Now, among them, each truck driver will be required to carry a health form which will be presented at the seclusion points at any time when required to do so.
Before, all trucks will have one driver for the next 4 weeks as the country intensifies efforts to stem the spread of the deadly coronavirus pandemic.
After which the relay system for drivers could be adopted. However, the transporters who are ready are encouraged to effect the relay system for the different countries. Domestic trucks should have a maximum of 2. Only have one driver and the cargo owner or representative of the cargo owner.
The latest Trade and Transport National Task Force Subcommittee meeting also abolished all the traditional stopovers such as Tororo, Luweero, Diantonde, and designated new places to be managed by the district task forces.
From Malaba, Busia, destined to Kampala, if you're from Malaba, Busia, and you're destined to Kampala, the health breakpoint is Iganga, Nakalama, at Mugoya construction site. The seclusion points are Bweyogerere at Nambole parking area, B, Chetume, that is Uganda Railways Corporation, and the bonded warehouse, which is 1.5 kilometers off the Katosi Road. All cargo, inbound and outbound transit cargo trucks should follow the same journey management plan indicated above. No diversions of cargo trucks off the designated routes. All other previous stop points for cargo trucks such as Tororo, Mbale, Lera, Kamdini Corner, Town, Mbiko, Naluwerere, Liantonde, Namaojolo, Sanga, Ruti, Mijera, Karuma, Pakwach Junction, Luweero, among others, are all declared illegal with immediate effect.
In case of a mechanical breakdown, drivers are encouraged to inform the nearest police station and ensure that trucks are off the road within 24 hours.
Uganda Revenue Authority to consider procuring of 5,000 more e-seals for the regional cargo transiting through Uganda.
Every driver will also be required to carry a health form.
The drivers will be required, when they are coming in, they will get health forms. A health form has been developed. At the point of entry, that form will be filled, and they will move with that form throughout wherever they are going. Then, when they are exiting our borders, they will be required to leave those forms at our borders such that we can develop a data bank. All agencies, including Ministry of Health, should operate 24 hours at Malaba, Mutukula, and Busia borders.
Government also encourages importers of dry cargo and fuel to consider using the railway transport for the imports and exports. Mwasasira Isabella and Benadiga for UBC TV News.
Stringent measures being put in place to ensure that truck drivers do not continue importing COVID-19 into Uganda, and of course everybody's hope is that they do follow those rules. To the High Court now, where the High Court Judge Justice Michael Elubu has ordered members of Parliament to return to the Commission or donate to their respective district task forces the 20 million shillings apportioned to themselves. Now, Justice Elubu, who ruled in favour of the petitioner Gerald Karuhanga and Jonathan Odur, challenged the allocation of the 20 million shillings to each member of Parliament.
On Tuesday, President Museveni, while addressing the country, condemned the move by Parliament to apportion itself 10 billion during these hard times of the economy, allegedly for the fight against COVID-19. The President, in his statement, said it was wrong for Parliament to make such an allotment to itself.
It would be more reprehensible for members of Parliament to give themselves money for personal use.
It is worth noting that the money in question was part of the 304 billion supplementary budget that was passed early this month to combat the spread of COVID-19. In the apportionment of the funds in question, Ministry of Health was allocated 104 billion, 77 billion to security, 14 billion to Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, 59 billion to Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, and 36 billion to resident district commissioners. Nonetheless, Parliament quietly allocated itself 10 billion from the same supplementary, causing controversy.
We look at this as an attempt to suffocate the work of Parliament.
It is this very allotment that compelled a section of MPs who were against the move to seek legal redress over what they called the abuse of rules of procedures of the House.
We believe, one, it was done unlawfully.
Although court had earlier stopped Parliament from giving the money in question or spending it, the Commission did not respect the court decision.
The money had been dissipated.
The day of filing, even the day of filing, even the day of hearing, the money had already gone.
Yeah, even the day of filing. But Madam Speaker, of course...
Don't encourage the courts to overrun Parliament.
No, Madam Speaker...
No.
The issue is, Madam Speaker, that would be the first ground by which on the 29th that matter would be expected to be thrown out.
Today, court has ruled that all members of Parliament return the money in question to the Commission, or donate it to the District Task Force, or pay the money to the National Task Force, as per those representing special interest groups.
In light of the proposal and the submission that the respondents do not object, it is ordered that this application, one, is withdrawn, and two, that the funds be disbursed pursuant, that the funds that had been disbursed are utilized as proposed by Council for the applicant.
Money is going to remain under public control, which was the intention of the injunction application, and it should remain in public control in one of three ways. The MPs should refund it to the Parliamentary Commission.
The decision was made during a petition hearing by His Lordship Justice Michael Elubu.
Members, I hope those who were planning to have feasts and picnics and probably take their boyfriends or girlfriends out after COVID, sorry. And
it should be noted that the President's warning, just like the court ruling, came in hours after the Speaker had communicated that all the money returned by members of Parliament shall be donated to their respective district task force. Susan Nawonga reporting for UBC TV.
That was the court ruling, and of course the question is what next for the members of Parliament. It is a developing story, and definitely we'll be following it up, and we'll be giving details in our bulletins tomorrow. Now, the continued COVID-19 partial lockdown of the economy has been described by the Minister for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives as a blessing in disguise following increased rate of innovations. According to Minister Amelia Chambade, the rate at which innovations are coming up is promising. On record, so far there are about 14 companies that have been certified to produce sanitizers and disinfectants, among others.
It is over a month now since Ugandans were pushed into a partial lockdown, bringing millions of businesses under lock and key. Now, with the hope of lifting the lockdown still hanging in balance, many organizations have opted for the reduction of a monthly pay by half or even downsizing their staff. However, the Minister for Trade, Industries and Cooperatives, Amelia Chambade, has described the current economic status as a blessing in disguise.
It has taught us that 1 month down the road, Some of us had no savings, but we are learning that we need to save for any eventuality in life, because this thing hit us as a shock. When you sit back and compare your spending behavior before lockdown and now, you realize that there are so many things you can do away with. You don't even go and buy so many books which you don't even read. You stack them up there and say, I'll read them. But because you thought you have the purchasing power, but now the purchasing power is low. It's low. So now how do you, now what I have learned, or what most Ugandans have learned, that we need to prioritize our needs. We need to look at our needs as investments. If I put in money in this, what do I gain?
In an exclusive interview with UBC TV, Minsa Chambade revealed that a number of innovations have been registered, especially in the area of COVID-19 related products, offering hope for a quicker economic recovery.
We're talking about sanitizers. Apparently, about 14 companies have been certified. The products are already on the market, but they'll be produced at a larger scale or industrial scale. I know we have had disinfectants on the market, but still people were importing some of them from Dubai and from other countries. We should not forget that this lockdown has also expanded development of the recycling capacity in making water containers, in making dustbins for garbage, and tanks. Although they've been there, the market, the demand has not been so high as now.
The lockdown has ironically boosted e-commerce, with almost every businessman going online for product placements. The minister is optimistic that if this culture is kept, the economy will thrive by all means.
And you can see that normally we have issues with the internet because of the overload, because everybody's spending a lot of time studying, researching, importing, exporting, marketing, everything online. So what does it mean? That e-commerce as a service, ordering food, imagine buying food from the market, you just call Nalongo will bring you will send somebody, a border, to bring whatever you want to you. You don't have to go there physically. So these are the lessons we have learned, that e-commerce is a solution to most of the areas of our economy.
It is worth noting that since Uganda registered her first COVID-19 case on March 22nd, her efforts to eliminate it have been unmatched. It is now this performance that the Minister for Trade, Industries and Cooperatives, Amelia Chambade, thinks will soon attract scientists and researchers.
This will attract foreign direct investments, because they would want to bring their money and invest it here. Because now they're deeming Uganda as a more productive, safe, and law-abiding.
It should be remembered that President Museveni has over the years expressed commitment to support and nurture innovations. Dorcas Kimono, UBC TV News.
Dorcas Kimono with that report. And of course, it is said that there is always something good in every bad thing that happens to us, and the positives, of course, are coming out of this COVID-19 pandemic. And right now we are going to go to South Sudan and Juba specifically to talk to one journalist, Sheila, who is a journalist working with Voice of America Africa Service. And we're going to talk about what is happening in South Sudan in as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Sheila, good evening and welcome to UBC News. My name is Edward Kijanangoma. Sheila, can you hear me? Sheila is based in Sudan, in South Sudan, Juba. Looks like the connection is not really working out very well, but we'll be getting back to her the moment we are through. But right about now, let's take a very short break. We'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
It's never too late to bond with those you love. Stay connected with MTN Night Calls. Load airtime or activate a voice or data bundle of 500 shillings or more daily and get 60 free minutes to call MTN numbers from midnight to 6 a.m. Terms and conditions apply. Stay safe.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
That's my little angel Rose. Together with millions of other children, my daughter Rose is assured of learning something new every day. Moses, my husband, just like many other commercial farmers, has his business supported so he can provide for us. When my other little one was on the way, even with my pregnancy complications, it was a quick, smooth ride to Mulago Specialized Women and Neonatal Hospital. Also, my new baby was able to make it through his first days with the help of specialized equipment, thanks to the reliable electricity, which has also been extended throughout the country. All this and more has been made possible because of you.
Join us and together let's do more for our country. Get your free tin at www.ura.go.ug.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
"24 minutes after 10, and you are still watching News Tonight here on UBC TV. Elizabeth Nakakoni is on sign language, and I am Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. And before the break, we were trying to connect to Sheila, a journalist working in Juba, South Sudan, working with the Voice of America, but the Africa Service. I understand now she is ready to talk to us. Sheila, good evening and welcome to News Tonight.
Good evening to you, Edward.
Yes, glad to have you with us. Tell us, of course, we are here and we are fighting COVID-19. Tell us, how is the situation in Juba? How are you faring?
Well, what I can say at the moment is that in Juba here or South Sudan, this situation is still in a defining moment. This is how I can put it. As I'm talking to you now, the country have 35 known cases of COVID-19, and we haven't got reports of discharges. We also do not have death cases. at the moment.
Yes, Sheila, thank you so much. One of the things that actually, like for us here in Uganda, what the government has fronted is, there are about three things: social distancing and not to shake hands and all that. What are the measures that the government in South Sudan has put in place to ensure that those infections are reduced?
Well, I could say they are almost the same. Some of the precautionary measures the government have put in place, maybe together with the World Health Organization, social distancing. There's also suspension of all passenger internal flights from Juba to state and from states to Juba. Suspension of passenger public transport systems, those are also being put in place. And postponement of also conferences, and also ban on all social gatherings. Those are some of the precautionary measures that are put in place by the government in the country.
Thank you. Let's talk about markets, for example, food distribution and people accessing food. How is it going in Juba and also elsewhere in the country? Are people accessing food? Is the food available?
Well, within Juba, markets are operating normal, despite the fact that there are precautionary measures being put in place. The food is there in Juba in the market, but the issue is that the prices have doubled, like twice more than what it was before. So it has become difficult at the moment for some people who cannot afford to get the food. So when we talk about distribution of food, at the moment it is a World Food Program that is doing that, giving food to the people, but mostly to only vulnerable people in the country. Yeah.
Okay, Sheila, thank you so much. But also in Uganda, we've been having a problem, and that is truck drivers from neighboring countries, getting the disease into our country. How is the situation in Juba? Do you also have that problem?
Well, as per last week, when it comes to transmission of the disease, it was only one case that was gotten from a truck driver that was coming from the side of Malaba, bringing foodstuffs to Juba. And as it was informed to the task force that his blood test was taken to Malaba, and he was left to proceed with his journey. And afterwards, after the 14 days are elapsed, the Malaba border guys have to confirm here that by the name of the driver, the number plate and everything, to show that his blood sample was positive. So they informed them and they were able to track down the driver. And besides that, the most serious thing here is that people are not yet taking some of these precautionary measures so serious, more especially when it comes to social distancing. People are not actually practicing it as it is supposed to be, 1 meter away and 6 feet. People don't do that. Some still have the culture of shaking hands as greetings, because this is something like a culture and a sign of peace. So you find that when they are informed not to do that, some might take, like, if you don't want to get close to them or shake hands with them, it means maybe you are arrogant or you feel that they are filthy. So this is something that is dangerous to the people themselves, and I feel like that is one of the threats towards them in causing maybe transmission of the disease within themselves, the people.
And Sheila, also the other thing is, of course, you have this big number of people who have actually been infected. Have you had anyone who has recovered from this coronavirus?
Well, like I said before, it is only we have the task force that works with the Ministry of Health together with the World Health Organization. So when they come up to announce the known cases, the only information given is the number of COVID-19 known cases. But when it comes to recovery, death, and discharge, that is not being communicated as yet. So I cannot say there is recovery because we don't have yet that information.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for joining us, and we do hope that you keep safe, you wash your hands as you have been, directed to do.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right, then, that has been Sheila, a journalist working in Juba, South Sudan, and working with Voice of America Africa Service. And she's been giving us an update in as far as COVID-19, the fate of COVID-19 is concerned in South Sudan. And of course, a few people there who are actually infected and no recoveries as yet, but that is what is happening there. And now let's continue with our news, and we go to Jinja, where the Jinja resident district commissioner Eric Sakwa has gained freedom after he was granted bail by the Jinja Magistrates Court. Now, Sakwa was last Friday remanded at Kirinya government prison, where he was indicted of 3 counts, including where he allegedly caused the death of Charles Tisanga at Luanda in Jinja district.
Security was tight around major roads in Jinja town and vicinity surrounding the premises of Magistrate Court. This was few hours before resident District Commissioner Jinja Eric was produced to court following his bail application. By 11:20, the Jinja Chief Magistrate, Jessica Chemeri, walked in and held the proceedings through a video conference. The magistrate later granted Sakwa a non-cash bail of 5 million shillings and 10 million shillings also for his sureties.
All that is required for the applicant is to offer safeguards as are sufficient to overcome any concerns which the court may have about granting bail.
He is expected to report on 13th May and was cautioned not to make any media communication regarding his case. Sakwa was represented by his lawyers Evans Ochieng and Stephen Mozosa.
We feel it is outrageous when you say the RDC stole a crate of soda, a representative of the president in the district. But we don't want to go into the merits of that at this stage. But I don't know whether I should agree with you. I think it's outrageous, but we will be raising it with the necessary officers. If politics is involved, in a court there is no politics. That will be exposed through evidence.
Oku granting application yaife jetu kozenga tukusaba nti asobola okweyimirirwa avire nga kuliya nga asobola okuida okuwoza.
Prosecution alleges that Sakwa had wrongfully caused the death of Charles Tisanga while conducting an operation. If proved guilty, the accused is liable to life imprisonment, attempted murder, and 10 years imprisonment and immediate credits.
We apologize for that noisy background there in that report, but thanks for Farida for that story. Now, government is to address the concerns of health workers who are at the forefront in fighting coronavirus. Now, while inspecting how trucks are managed at Impondwe border post, members of the Health Committee of Parliament commended Kasese health team and local leaders for the good work done in fighting coronavirus pandemic. Let's get this story.
The Health Committee of Parliament is in Kasese district to assess the prevention and control
of coronavirus at the Mpondwe border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. The committee, which is led by the Bukaya County MP, Honorable Bukenya Michael, is also aiming to see how truck drivers are controlled and managed at the border.
I appreciate the experience from the Bwera Hospital, where there is a very experienced team based on their experience with Ebola. They just transform the information to manage COVID. So they have a very well set up team with young doctors managing it, which must be appreciated. And
Lois Kabyanga, in charge of the isolation center at Bwera Hospital, said as medical workers, they have managed to ensure that all truck drivers are screened and tested before they leave the border. She said those who are suspected are being managed at Bwera Senior Secondary School.
Traversing our border, we are taking samples from them. The local and those on transit, we are taking samples from them. Since we started, we have so far taken from all the community and the trailer drivers, we are reaching over 900 samples so far.
However, Kabyanga, on a serious note, said they are not only managing the coronavirus, but the Ebola, which she said was still a threat in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Time as Kasese, we are having, people who are bordering Eastern DRC, we are having a threat of Ebola. Yeah, after so many days of thinking that they are declaring Ebola-free country, they got other confirmed cases. Unfortunately, there were community deaths.
The Vice Chairperson for the Health Parliament Committee, Honorable Spelanza Baguma Muhende, MP representing Chenjojo District, said government is to address the concerns of medical workers who are on the forefront of controlling the pandemic.
Some places we have gone, the health workers are saying they haven't received anything and they're not even hoping that they will receive anything. But even when we plan for the little that we're planning for, it stops somewhere. It doesn't trickle down to the person who is supposed to benefit from that. For example, the frontline workers should really get the allowances. Appropriation, especially for places that really require special attention. We already recommended that there is special attention in terms of funding for border areas. We also would like to hear reports that the little that we provided has been put to proper use and there is proper accountability.
The team visited Bwera Hospital, Bwera Secondary School and the screening point at Mpondwe border before heading to Kasese town to meet the district task force. I'm Nafka Farida, reporting.
Now, the UPDF Chief of Defense Forces, General David Muhoozi, has commended the Chieftaincy of Medical Services for their preparedness to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. General Muhoozi made the remarks as he inspected the field hospital set up to support national health services at the General Military Hospital, Bombo, in Luweero District.
The field hospital was donated to the government of Uganda under African Peacekeeping Rapid Response Program, which started in 2015 with a grant of $267 million. While inspecting the General Military Hospital in Bombo, General Muhoozi noted that Ugandans are extremely happy with the medical team's professionalism exhibited in dealing with COVID-19 crisis.
Militaries, we are flexible enough to switch to the immediate threat, which is now COVID. By availing this field hospital, you've done us a lot in terms of capacity building. It's a very handy contingency in the circumstances we are in. So far, we have comparatively done well as a country, thanks to the measures put in place by government to prevent the spread. And also partly because of public understanding and cooperation.
General Muhoozi, accompanied by UPDF senior officers, also visited Private Alex Niwanyine, the UPDF soldier who lost his eye during a curfew enforcement mission in Bibia.
I wish I could shake your hand, but with the COVID, I can't. But thank you for your service.
General Muhoozi expressed gratitude to the U.S. government for its partnership with Uganda in professionalizing the forces.
Thank you enough. Colonel Dupo, we are with you. You've been hit hard. We commiserate with the families that have lost their loved ones. but it's a challenge I think we need to handle together as a world, as a region, and as different countries, but also as individuals.
The Chief of Medical Services, Major General Dr. Ambrose Musingus, thanked UPDF leadership for the continued support to the establishment medical centers whose services are also extended to the community. The USA Defense Attaché, Colonel Edward Danport, commended UPDF's contribution to Uganda's effort against COVID-19. General David Mohoz inspected the field hospital in company of the Joint Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Joseph Musanyifu, the General Headquarters Camp Commandant, Major General Jerome Kakali, and Brigadier General Richard Karimiri, the defense spokesperson, among others. Haruna Mutesasira reporting for UBC News.
Thanks, Haruna. Now, some rather sad news, and we are going to Gulu now, where a 60-year-old man in Palaru sub-county Gulu district was asked to death following a wrangle surrounding an acre of land. Police arrested 3 of the 8 suspects connected to the matter. Now, the burial of this man, however, broke the presidential directives as over 100 people attended the burial.
This is how the people of Kal clan in Palaro sub-county of Gulu district are mourning the murder of their elder Olum Justin Auma. He was murdered following a land dispute. According to eyewitnesses, the late was attacked by 8 men while he laid bricks. The men allegedly used an axe and machetes to strike his head till he died.
4 of them came and grabbed the side of the dirt and they tried to tie the dirt. So one came from behind with an axe, then he hammered my father in the back on some head here with a big wound hard cut. So it broke and the head broke it. And he was trying to pull the axe out, but things got stuck. Then he pulled out with the skull and all brains, the brain fell down.
The land in question is less than an acre, but the chaos that followed the murder saw 5 grass-thatched houses burnt to the ground, and police, army and officers from the RDC deployed to calm the situation.
As government, we condemn this act. The issue of land, God gave land to us to use but not to kill. Your neighbor or your friend or your brother out of being in the land.
With emotions high, the family and relatives of the deceased broke the Ministry of Health guidelines on burial as they turned up in large numbers to send off their elder.
Normal death and culturally the way they handle it here, but I've talked to them that the social distance should be there so that we endeavor that the COVID-19 is not spread to any of us.
But the angry mourners suspected Palaro LC3 leader David Ngole to be siding with the suspects who are his brothers.
So go open go bear penjago you begin to one over Kimmer lock Pegate lock to
No.
Pegate lock and lock to any pen Kakamuni any one. So join over doing.
However, the LC3 David Ngole defended himself, saying they only deployed to provide safety.
Suspect to the police, to drop them to the police with the army vehicle. One, we need to save the life and the properties, and we want to make sure the area has to be normalized because we expect community to enjoy peace. That's why it's our motive. If somebody is blaming us, I do accept because leader, sometimes you accept also blame. But
the Deputy RDC, Tom O'Reilly, who led the security officers, managed to calm the situation and promised a deeper investigation with 4 suspects, including Okot Morris, Odong George, Rubanga Kenny, and main suspect, Ochen Patrick, already arrested. I'm Nafka Farida, reporting.
Very, very sad indeed, and such barbaric acts still taking place in our country. Now from northern Uganda, let's go to Busia, where Busia District COVID-19 Task Force has received relief items including money, food and reading materials. The State Minister for East African Community Affairs, Julius Maganda, handed over 5 million shillings to the task force. World Vision also handed over reading materials